Everyone begins packing their things, mostly talking about their levels of excitement for the upcoming event. As I think to myself, this would probably be the first time I've ever been interviewed by our school's newspaper for anything. I know Monika's been interviewed before, and somehow Sayori has been interviewed before as well. But I guess for Natsuki, Yuri, and I, this will be our first time. I feel my anxiety start to rise as I think about it. My train of thought ends as I feel a tap on my shoulder.
Ready to walk home, Holly?
Yep, let's go. After I finish packing my things, Sayori and I wave goodbye to the others as we head out to start our walk home. During the walk home, I feel Sayori gently take my hand. When I turned to her, she kept looking straight ahead, madly blushing. I smile to myself as we keep walking. It seems that we've gotten more comfortable with showing off our affection for each other in public, even if it's something as simple as holding hands. Sayori seems to be in a really good mood today. Well, she did say me being around her helps her feel better. Granted, I have no problem spending my time around Sayori. What if this was the cure to her problems all along? Just us spending time around each other. Oh, other mods wish it was so. At this rate, she should be rid of those rain clouds in no time. The thought of that keeps me smiling through the duration of our walk. Eventually, we reach our houses.
Hey, Holly!
Yeah, Sayori?
I think I know where my polos are. I can stop by your house in a bit and drop them off if that's okay.
Sayori's voice trails off. I see where she's going with this. Yeah, I'd love to have you over. I'll see you in a bit, Sayori.
Okay.
Sayori and I briefly embrace each other as we head back to our respective houses. I hope she can stay a little longer this time. I drop my book bag in the middle of my room and change out of my uniform. I begin looking through the messy stack of papers on my desk in an attempt to find the poems I wrote. I just hope I didn't accidentally throw them away. Come on, they gotta be here somewhere. Aha! There they are! I pull my poems out of my stack and start organizing them a little. Reading through them, I see how far I've progressed as a writer. My more recent poems certainly seemed more developed and structured compared to the first poem I wrote. I'm also reminded of the inspiration behind all these poems. My dear Sayori. Just thinking about her allowed me to power through this arduous task. I guess I did end up writing it for her after all. I put down my poems and go to my bag to retrieve Yuri's poems, which I put right next to mine. I noticed that in Yuri's stack of poems there's a purple piece of paper. I don't remember Yuri ever writing her poems down on purple paper. Maybe she accidentally gave me something. Before I could investigate further, I hear my doorbell ring. Wow, Sayori was a lot quicker than I'd thought she'd be. I go downstairs to let Sayori in. I open the door to see Sayori standing outside with her poems.
Hey, Holly, I found them!
She proudly hands me them. That's awesome. Thank you, Sayori. You're the best. Sayori blushes at my compliment. So, wanna come in?
Yeah, I'd love to!
Awesome. I let Sayori into my house. I put Sayori's poems on the dining room table and join her in the living room.
So, what exactly do you want to do?
I've definitely got more than a few ideas in mind.
Oh, and what would they be?
She looks at me quizzically, an obvious sense of intrigue in her eyes. Well, let me show you. We slowly shuffle closer to each other until we're close enough to feel each other's breath. Her breaths are shallow, her eyes are locked with mine. My vision feels hazy, her eyes, have they always been that beautiful blue color? The scent of cinnamon, mixed with the feeling of her soft breaths grazing my neck. Suddenly, I remember what I wanted to do. Remember when we had that big debate over who could get more gold trophies in Mario Kart when we were little? Sayori pauses to remember.
Yeah, why?
I think it's time to settle that debate again. Sayori giggles at my suggestion.
Alright, Holly, I'll warn you, but I won't hold back.
She manages to say that in both a playful and ominous tone. Growing up, Sayori and I had a bit of an annual competition to see who could get the most gold trophies in Mario Kart. Every so often we could trade the winning title, but I remembered that I barely beat her out last time. We also had a tradition where the loser would have to pay for the winner's ice cream at Gamaya's. Usually when Sayori would win, she'd get the most ridiculously expensive sundae, almost as a way to rub it in that she won. Usually I'd be humble and get something cheap. I power on my Wii and hand her one of the controllers. Seeing Mario Kart boot up on the screen again triggers a flood of memories from my childhood. It's been years since I've played this game, and even longer since Sayori and I have played it together. My skills are probably a little rusty, but I hope hers are as well. What map should we play first? Sayori shoots me a sly look.
How about Rainbow Road?
Do you really think we should start off on that map, considering how long it's been? Only reason I even remember it was because of how frustrating it was.
It could still be fun. Unless you're too chicken.
Alright, you're on. As we sit there choosing our racers, I decide to go with my old main, Luigi. As I expected, Sayori chooses Daisy, her all-time favorite. Oh my god, it's Margaret. Well, here we go.
Good luck, Hallie.
The race is off. The first thing I do is fall right off the map with Sayori quickly following. And now you see why I always hated this map.
Yeah, but this is still pretty fun.
A smile manages to form across my face. Sayori's always able to find the joy in almost anything. While early on, Sayori and I trade leads for the first place, after a while I'm able to stay in first fairly comfortably. Of course, that means I've been getting bombarded with red shells. Why do you have so many red shells?
The farther you are from first place, the better items you get.
Oh yeah, I need to play this more. Sayori lets out a giggle as she throws out another red shell that nearly hits me. Nice try! However, as soon as I say that, Sayori's able to pass me.
Thank you.
Sayori and I continued to trade leads for most of the first 2 laps, neither of us able to gain much distance on each other before the other takes the lead again. Finally, it comes down to the last stretch of the race. I'm barely in first. I can almost see the finish line. Seemingly out of nowhere, one of the NPC players starts to catch up to us. In the blink of an eye, the NPC passes Sayori and is right on my tail. I don't need 2 things to worry about. Well, time to use the shells I've been saving for the end. I start throwing out my shells randomly in an effort to get the NPC and Sayori off my tail. My first shell hits the NPC successfully. Its cart quickly spirals out of control before promptly falling off the map. I don't know why they decided to capitalize it that time. However, Sayori was able to dodge the other shells I threw. I look to see that I still have 1 left. With the finish line only about 10 seconds away, and with Sayori and I neck and neck, it's now or never that I use my last shell. Take this! In desperation, I throw my last shell out randomly. However, I come to regret that decision rather quickly. Oh crap. No! I somehow end up hitting myself with the shell I just threw. Before I know it, Sayori passes me and wins the race.
Yay, I won!
I sit there absolutely stunned. I just cost myself the game.
Looks like you'll have to buy me my favorite sundae again.
Oh no, not if I have anything to say about it. I playfully tackle her to the floor. She giggles as she tries to get up, but fortunately I'm too strong for her.
Hey, don't fair, meanie, you promised.
Sayori playfully pouts at me while giving me puppy eyes. Under most circumstances, they really wouldn't work on me, but for some reason today they're super effective. I know. I'm gonna buy you whatever you want. I'm just messing with you, Sayori. Sayori shoots me a look of relief.
So when do I get my ice cream?
As soon as you can get up. Sayori manages to put up a good effort to get up, but again, I'm too strong for her. You haven't changed a bit, have you, Sayori?
Neither have you, Hallie.
What do you mean?
You've always been that brash, funny guy next door who always has his head in the clouds. You've always been so kind to me, even when I don't think I deserve it. You've always looked out for me.
I can hear Sayori's voice starting to break.
You always help me when I'm feeling down, even if you don't realize that.
Trying my best not to blush, eventually I break and crack a wide grin at her.
You're the reason I even get up out of bed in the morning, Hallie. You're the reason I can feel happiness and joy in my life. You're the reason I'm even alive. Even when I'm at my lowest point, when my rain clouds just pour on me. You're the sunshine that I need to break them away. I see now that I'm the luckiest girl in the world to have you as my boyfriend.
I see tears start to swell up in Sayori's eyes. It would well up, but okay. Listening to Sayori say that really hits me hard inside. I'm the reason she's alive? There's no way she would, she would never. Before I can finish my train of thought, Sayori inches her face closer to mine.
Hallie,
Sayori's lips suddenly meet mine. Despite the sudden shock, I managed to return her kiss, our lips interlocking. The taste of peach fills my mouth as our lips push back against each other. The smell of cinnamon radiating from her hair seems to put me in a trance. I pull back and lock eyes with Sayori, as she lays there with bated breath, as a sentence fragment. There is a minute of silence between us as we get lost in each other's eyes. Finally, I decide to break the silence. So, I guess you won.
yeah, like one fair and square.
I get off of Sayori and help her up. Well, I think that's enough video games for one day. Want to see what's on TV?
Yeah, sure.
We spend the next few hours watching some old movies and cuddling. Eventually, the sun sets and it starts to get dark out.
Well, we better head back and start getting ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, bummer that the day went by so fast.
Yeah, but I'll see you tomorrow, Hallie. I had so much fun with you today.
I did too, Sayori. I'll see you tomorrow. Sayori gives me one more hug before leaving to go back to her house. As she shuts the door, I collapse back onto my couch, exhausted by today's events. We finally kissed. I still can't believe it. I should have seen it coming, but I'm surprised with just how well my relationship with Sayori is coming along, even if I have no idea what I'm doing. Or maybe this was Sayori needed, or maybe this was Sayori needed all along. Was what Sayori needed? She just wanted to be around me again. Am I really the answer to all her problems? Then again, I don't really know just how deep her problems run. And if she's always having rain clouds when I'm not around her, well, she should be able to talk about her problems with someone else, not just me. I'm not even entirely sure if I'm the only one if I'm the only one knows about her problems as well. Who knows? Her parents know about this, right? Then again, Sayori's dad really isn't around too much because of his work, and her mom moved back to the countryside following that divorce. Unless Monica knows, I might be the only one she's told. I can try being around her as much as I can, but I can't be there for her 24/7. Especially if my plans for the summer still end up happening. I guess I'll have to figure something out then. Still, it was nice to spend more time around her today. Hopefully she'll be fine for the rest of the night. I flip back on the TV and watch a few more shows before grabbing Sayori's poems off the dining room table and heading up to my room. After grabbing Sayori's poems from the dining table, I put her stack right next to mine and Yuri's. I remembered that there was something in Yuri's stack that stood out to me. After comparing all three stacks, I see Sayori's stack is completely identical to mine. Yuri's stack is the only one that has a purple piece of paper. I begin to look through Yuri's stack. As I look through her poems, I can't help but be reminded of the first time we shared. At first, it was a bit hard to understand the meaning of her poems, but the more I read, the more I understood them. Yuri was always probably one of the club's deepest writers. Her poems may look convoluted and confusing on the surface, but once you got past that, you got to realize that Yuri's poems were always meaningful and articulate. I always found joy in reading her poems. They can always be as fun as to read as Natsuki's and just as deep as Sayori's and Monica's. She truly is a talented writer. Heck, she might even be one of the best writers I've ever met. I really have learned a lot from her. Through my train of thought, one of the pieces of paper escapes my grip. I put the poems on my desk and bends down to grab the stray paper. I look at the title. I don't remember reading this one. Alright, let's grab that bar.
Calligraphy. A blank banner spread out and ready to become a work of art. The calligrapher prepares her pen, inspiration rushing to create. Every mark she makes, every stroke of her hand, precise, calculated, and yet still expressive. From deep within, she finds her innermost feelings, making them known across the banner before her. All the while, she thinks only of him, with whom she filled another banner. The story she lays will last only as long as the material which bears it. The canvas, as her life, is frail and temporal. The ink, as her feelings, may fade under poor treatment. Yet she continues undeterred, carried by her wish to make her feelings known, laying them bare to the world, the only way she knows how. Finally, the banner is complete, the story told, her love expressed. As fear and courage fight for her state of mind, she delivers her work to him with whom she filled another banner. With every ounce of courage, she hands it to him, a confession of everything she cannot say. She breathlessly awaits his reply, but finds contentment knowing there are more stories ahead for the two of them to create together. With all of my love, Yuri.
Oh, shit. She likes me. I'm assaulted with a barrage of emotions as I try to come to terms with the situation I've just found myself in. I have no idea how I should handle this. Not to mention, Yuri probably knows I've read it by this point. Did she give this to me on purpose? There's no way she would have accidentally given this to me. What do I do? I put the poem back in the stack, put on my pajamas, and lay on my bed. Do I tell Sayori? How will she feel about this? What am I going to do? Do I talk to Yuri about this tomorrow? Or do I let her come to me? Through the millions of scenarios that play out in my head, my mind eventually wears me down and I drift into an uneasy sleep. I open my eyes to find myself in a dark, empty clearing. What? As I look around the clearing, I see the world around me engulfed in fog and haze. I can barely see 2 feet in front of me.
You wouldn't have been in this situation if you had just listened to me.
That's the same voice I heard last night. Oh great, this again.
Did you completely forget about what I told you last night? You're supposed to stay away from Sayori, not get closer to her. I didn't want to have to keep this up. I don't take enjoyment in your suffering, but you're leaving me no choice.
Suddenly I see a silhouette approach me. Sayori? Is that you? Sayori comes into my view.
Sayori can never love you back in the same way you do. You both know that. Why waste every day building her up when she'll just tear herself down again?
The next thing I know, a noose appears right around Sayori's neck. I see another silhouetted figure emerge from the fog right next to Sayori.
Let's make this quick.
The next thing I know, the noose tightens around Sayori's neck as she's suddenly hoisted into the air. As Sayori begins crying out for help and trying to free herself, the figure takes a step closer to me.
Now listen carefully this time, Hallie. Sayori is going to die. Don't feel bad. She was already meant to anyways. The more time you spend around her, the harder it'll be on everyone later. Keeping her alive is only prolonging her suffering. She's not meant for this world. Her precious mind is filled with nothing but second-guessing and self-deprecation. She knows she's worthless to you, Hallie. In the end, she'll provide you with nothing. It's time for you to see that.
My eyes glance over to see Sayori continuing to struggle. Tears are streaking down her face as she tries desperately to free herself. She keeps gasping for air as her sobs become little more than cries for help. I try to call out to Sayori, but nothing comes out of me. I try to run to her or to help her, but I can't move my legs. I try to turn away to avoid looking on at Sayori suffering, but my eyes refuse to close and my neck refuses to turn.
She's not worth saving, Hallie. She is nothing. She is truly useless, and useless things need to be cast aside.
The figure takes a few steps back, raising its hand and snapping its fingers. I hear a painful crack as Sayori's body slowly goes limp. The color suddenly drains from her face, making her skin a ghostly pale. Even her uniform is drained of its bright colors. Sayori's gazeless eyes look upon me as a final tear runs down her face.
You can't stop this from happening, Hallie. You need to let her go. Leave her behind. Forget about her. Worry about us. There is only us. Just us.
I suddenly wake up with the sudden urge to vomit. I quickly prop myself, trying to suppress it. Prop myself up. Though as soon as I do that, I feel my head quickly start to ache. I feel my entire body covered in a coat of sweat as I move to clutch my forehead. What the hell is going on with me? Am I sick? This is the second time this has happened. After a few minutes, my head stops throbbing, and I feel relatively normal again. My eyes wander to my alarm clock. Great, I don't have to be up for another hour. Well, I can try falling back asleep, but if I do, won't I just see the same thing again? Or worse, if this keeps happening, I'm probably going to need a psychiatrist. I don't feel like getting out of bed yet, so I've just spent the rest of my time staring at the ceiling. Though the memories of my nightmares slowly creep back into my mind is also a sentence fragment about how I couldn't save Sayori. How I just watched her slowly choke to death. It was almost like what I saw 2 nights ago. And her corpse. I get nauseous just thinking about it. Thankfully, before I can think any longer about it, my alarm sounds off. I sigh to myself as I walk over to silence my alarm and go about my daily morning routine of getting ready for school. After finishing my morning routine, I head downstairs to my kitchen with Yuri's poem in hand. I must have read it over 100 times by now, hoping that this was some kind of sick joke. I sigh and let the paper flutter onto my dining room table. I'm not particularly hungry, so I opt to just make a fruit bowl. While grabbing the bowl, I send Sayori a text to let her know that I'm up and she doesn't need to come wake me up again. Surprisingly, she responds back rather quickly and tells me that she's already waiting outside for me. I reply back that I'll meet her as soon as I'm done with my breakfast. I hastily assemble my fruit bowl and quickly begin eating it. Though, I come to the realization that I'll probably be getting everyone else's poems today. I'm still uncertain if it's even a good idea for me to talk to Yuri about what she gave me. What am I even supposed to say to her? And I still don't even know how to put it to Sayori. There's no telling how she'll react. And if I tell anyone else, I feel like that'll just make the situation more complicated. And Natsuki probably won't be of much help either. Maybe I can ask Monica. Maybe she'll know how to handle this. Or maybe she'll know to handle this. I sigh to myself as I pop the last piece of watermelon into my mouth, put Yuri's poem in my backpack, and head outside to meet Sayori.